Battersea Studios, 16th of July 2015. I hope you've been finding out about TTIP. It stands for Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership. It's an acronym. An acronym, if you read the dictionary as much as I do, you'll know that acro means top. So in this case it means initial letters of something. NIM means name. So it's a name made out of initial letters. And acro, we use that word a lot, it means top. Acrobat, it's somebody at the top of a tent walking on a tightrope, because acro means top and bat is from the Greek word to walk. And you've got the Acropolis on top of Athens, and all these things, if you look in the dictionary, you know exactly what they mean. Anyway, so we've got lots of acronyms. The world is completely full of acronyms. For example, we have got OPEC, and I know that OPEC means Organisation of Petroleum Exporting Countries. We just think of it as the Saudis. The Saudis just fixing the oil prices according to instructions from America. FIFA, something to do with football. And ISIS, Islamic State something something. We forget what they actually really stand for. And certainly you've probably forgotten already what TTIP stands for. I think it's purposely confusing, this world full of acronyms, because what's at the back of them nobody knows most of the time. And for example, they're organised by America, these political ones. They're about agreements between countries, and we're trying to find out what's going on. And for example, NATO. NATO was formed after the Second World War. It's been here a long time, and it's 28 countries, America, Canada, and the rest are countries of Europe, and Turkey. And anyway, this is about, if any of those countries has a problem, then the rest of the countries can go to war and help them. So it's all about war. Anyway, and it's organised by America. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, and if you have a nice feeling about NATO, then you probably think, oh wonderful, you know, America's going to protect us, like they did at the end of the First World War when we were still fighting Hitler. And so, you know, but if you're like me, I think of NATO as war causing. That's what I think of it, NATO. And if ever I hear that a country is being destabilised, there's something, the country is being destabilised, I think, oh, the CIA's in there stirring up trouble so that NATO can go to war. That's what I always think. So if I hear the word NATO, I don't like it. I don't feel safe at all. Anyway, so that's that. And what I want to come to now is NAFTA. NAFTA is not so... Anyway, NAFTA is 1994. And it stands for North Atlantic Free Trade Association. Now then, and what is so terrible about NAFTA is that it's got this thing inside it, ISDS. It uses this thing here. Now then, that's not an acronym, because you can't actually make a word out of it. You have to say ISDS. And it stands for Investor State Dispute Settlement. And what that means is this. It means that if a small country decides that it doesn't want to be wrecked by a corporation, a monopoly, and it says, I'm sorry, you can't come in here anymore and mine, because our water's been poisoned and we don't want you in here anymore. What can happen, which actually does happen, is that the corporation says, oh, I'm sorry about that, but you, in fact, I'm going to sue you because you are stopping me from making money. And this thing here, this ISDS, it's part of a treaty that says that this is legal, that if a country stops a corporation from making money, then they can be sued by that corporation, and that corporation will win. And if the country says, oh, well, I'm going to counter-sue you because you've poisoned all our water, then that country can't sue them, because that's not in the paperwork of this thing. So what we're talking about is legal decisions being made without any court at all, bypassing completely all justice. And so that's what happens, and the country has to pay, because if they don't, the other countries just freeze assets. America, Canada, they can just freeze the assets and pay the corporation the money anyway. You know, and this is in their paper, and this is the law that they have been practicing since 1994. And of course, America is now trying to get this thing to happen all over the world. That's what TTIP is about. It's the next stage, and America is trying to have an agreement with Europe on this basis, and it will have inside it this possibility, this not legal, this illegal thing that's nothing to do with any of our laws. And this is what I'm saying. I've only just discovered that this is going on. I've only just discovered because everybody's getting so worried about this TTIP, which is the same thing. And so we've got this thing, and I already talked to you about it. I think it just means that all our freedoms will go. Nobody will dare to protest about anything, and it'll be total control by the criminals, the giants, and the faceless evil. And therefore, you know, the most important thing we've got to do at the moment is know what's happening with this TTIP. And I just want to tell you, I got this information from WikiLeaks. This is TPP. Here we are, TPP. Now then, what TPP is that this is another net of cooperating countries that want to enforce this programme of illegal ratification of things that we know nothing about. Anyway, and so this one concerns, what does it say? It says Trans-Pacific Partnership, and that is Australia, and anyway, all these countries that are listed here. Have a look on the WikiLeaks website for TPP and have a read of what they've got to say about it. Anyway, because this is also from I want to say that the countries who are involved in this, Mexico, whatever, they're really, wait a minute, no, it's not Mexico. Mexico's already in the other agreement. So these countries like Peru and Chile and some of these other countries over here, Vietnam, whatever, they're really, really worried, because we all know what's been happening already with NAFTA. And this is the same thing, and the poor people are terrified that this is coming to their country. But these things are all being done by lawyers who just decide these things without any public consent. Regarding TTIP, that's got to be approved by the European courts. what happens is that you've got all these executives, thousands of them in Europe, preparing these documents, and the vote on these documents is going to be voted by people who actually don't understand it, because who's got time to read all those documents? They're just being told, sometimes they've only got 3 hours notice to make a vote. They are just being advised by their political parties, oh, this is okay, it's just a trade agreement, you know, we need this, everybody else is doing it, let's us do it. Now then, this is another thing that I got off the WikiLeaks website, and you can't really see what it is. You've got to go to the website to have a proper look. But this is the world. That's Africa down there. This is a world map, and it's completely covered by this net of links between all these countries. And what America's trying to do is to have control of the whole world by these agreements, which nobody knows anything about. And so there we are, except really scary is that they don't include China, they don't include Russia, and they don't include Brazil and some of those South American countries. And obviously, if we think about what's happening in the South China Sea at the moment, where America and China are building up their arms there, and Japan's getting involved. You know, America's just preparing for another war there, because they always need an enemy. Meanwhile, they'll have control over the whole rest of the world. Now then, this is really Armageddon. We're on the point of, you know, we can't just have votes like that. The people have got to stop things. I mean, don't you agree with me? Politicians are criminals. I mean, this is why they are. I don't want to mention the word politician, except I will, because we're going to exclude some politicians. And what we're going to do is we're going to have 4 boxes, and we've got to get a tick in each of those boxes if you're a real politician. And a real politician will have a tick against TTIP, a tick against fracking, because that's an imminent danger anyway, a tick against we want human rights, we don't want to abolish human rights, and another tick for we are pro-community. We're not going to be pulling down the flats in the Elephant and Castle and in lots and lots of places in London and putting up empty skyscrapers for investors, smashing communities, smashing all the good places where we meet, all the gay clubs, everything is going out. Our wonderful Doodle Bar in Chelsea is going to get just smashed. It's really great. It's next to the river. It's so nice to be there. We actually sometimes have a little cinema there. It's just it's a place where people in the area meet each other. It's a community centre. Anyway, I think that's it, really. Yeah. Oh, yes, and so I can think of 2 politicians we can put in these boxes. Of course, Caroline Lucas. She's the only Green MP we've got, but it's fantastic she kept her seat, because she can take this public debate into Parliament. She's on every demonstration, she agrees with it. And there's Jeremy Corbyn, and he has just put his hat in the ring. He wants to be the leader of the Labour Party, and that would be brilliant, because he's pro-people, and the Labour Party would become a totally different party if he got in. It would be just great. And next Thursday I might talk to you about this joker. I've just remembered something as an afterthought. Jeremy Corbyn went to America to talk to politicians there to try to get Shaker Armour out of Guantanamo Bay.